On top of the school roof, Officer Jungkook is trying to convince Yi-yeon not to do anything crazy. At that moment Se-bom arrives to check on him, so Yi-yeon explains that he just came here for fresh air and that some idiot called the cops. A frustrated Se-bom pushes him and Yi-yeon lands on an inflatable safety mat. 12 years later at a motel, an employee hears constant banging on a room. He goes to check but nobody answers, so he unlocks the door only to be dragged inside and killed. Moments later Yi-yeon and Jungkook arrive as part of a police team to investigate the crime scene. After a quick search, Yi-yeon looks under the bed and finds the murderer covered in blood. When he comes out, he explains he remembers the incident like a hazy dream. Looking at his mouth, Yi-yeon realizes this guy killed the employee by biting him. Then Yi-yeon calls Se-bom, who now works for the Special Operations Unit. He tells her that the murderer mentioned getting some mysterious substances from someone in her unit, so Se-bom agrees to investigate. She and co-worker Sung-young go looking for Jong-tae, but when they enter another room they find him on top of another man. They think it's something dirty and call him out, but when Jong-tae looks up he has blood all over his face plus crazy eyes and the other man has been bitten. He tries to attack and Se-bom shoots him in the leg, but he disarms her and tackles her. Sung-young pulls him back so Se-bom can fight him while he takes the victim away. After getting hit by furniture and even another shot, Jong-tae still keeps fighting, so Se-bom has no choice but to leave the room and lock the door to trap him. Jong-tae pounds on the door a few times before collapsing, then he starts screaming in pain because he's come back to his senses and he's suffering. An emergency team immediately takes him away. Afterward Se-bom calls Yi-yeon to tell him what happened. During the chat, she realizes she has scratches from the fight. Lieutenant Tae-sok comes to inform her that Jong-tae appears to have an infectious disease, so the soldiers take her away because she's infected. When Yi-yeon calls again, Tae-sok picks up and hears about his case. Soon the soldiers are also taking the man from the motel too. While Se-bom is taken to the quarantine site, Tae-sok tells the cops that this mysterious virus affects the brain. Those bitten are either infected or die of blood loss. Yi-yeon wonders if the illegal substance may have to do with it, so he goes back to the motel to find a sample. At that moment he gets a call from Jungkook, who has a toxicology report indicating that Jong-tae didn't take anything. That night, Yi-yeon shows the sample to a friend who used to consume substances and the guy notices a serial number on it, which means it belongs to a pharmaceutical company and not a street dealer. At the quarantine center, Se-bom is thoroughly examined and tested before she's sent to a room. After calling Yi-yeon to share updates, she finds bloodstains on the wall. There are screeching and pounding noises coming from the other rooms because they're filled with infected people. Tae-sok looks at Se-bom's test results and confirms she's uninfected. The next morning Yi-yeon finally finds the substance on the National Pharmaceutical Database. It's a discontinued pneumonia medication called Next that was pulled off the market because of hallucinogenic side effects. He asks Jungkook to track Se-bom's call and heads to the quarantine site. Meanwhile Se-bom is taken from her room for more tests. On her way out she sees Jong-tae and pushes her guard Jisoo to go into his room. She asks him if he remembers the incident and he admits he does, but he refuses to say if he took the illegal medicine. Suddenly he says he's thirsty and transforms again before tackling Se-bom to try to bite her. The soldiers immediately break down the door and painfully subdue Jong-tae with tasers before taking him away. Se-bom rushes to the office to yell at Tae-sok because she realized he opened the door on purpose so she would find Jong-tae. Tae-sok explains that infected people go crazy after experiencing insatiable thirst and he's trying to find the trigger. He informs her she isn't infected, so the military is willing to pay her for vacation time under the story that she was hurt on duty as long as she comes back for blood tests every couple of weeks. Se-bom agrees on the condition she gets a good score on her file so she can get the apartment she wants. At that moment Yi-yeon arrives at the facility and gives Tae-sok the medicine. On his way out Se-bom shocks him by asking him to get married. She wants the newlywed bonus to get a better score for the apartment and Yi-yeon says yes. Meanwhile Sung-young sees on the news that the infection is appearing in other countries. When Se-bom visits him to tell him about her marriage, they both admit they've been approached by reporters to talk about Jong-tae. Se-bom tells him not to do it, but after she leaves Sung-young meets with a reporter anyway because he needs the money. A flashback reveals that Sung-young was scratched during the fight and he's been hiding it. At the station, Jungkook tells Yi-yeon what he's found about Tae-sok. He's an infectious disease expert, got licensed through the military, and retired to work for a pharmaceutical company. Tae-sok went to trial for assaulting the CEO but was found not guilty. Then he returned to the military to serve in the Central Disaster Countermeasures headquarters. While Se-bom goes to her new place, she introduces herself to the neighbors by sharing rice cakes. When she tries to reach the 6th floor, the door at the stairs doesn't open. Seo-yoon informs her that the upper floors are for owners who don't mingle with the renters below. Se-bom kicks the door open anyway, pointing out that the barricade is a fire code violation. The people on this floor take the rice cakes only to show good manners but they're all cold to her. That night Se-bom has a nightmare about her fight with Jong-tae, who tells her she'll transform too. The couple is startled awake by some weird noises coming from upstairs, but Yi-yeon tells her to ignore them. The next morning Tae-sok comes to see Yi-yeon to inform him that they'll work together on the case. The first mission is to meet with Jong Tae's dealer, who they found on his phone. Yi-yeon will pretend to be a buyer, so Tae-sok gives him a bag of money to make it believable. Se-bom hears the noises from upstairs, so she leaves the apartment to confront the neighbors. Seo-yoon thinks she's really cool and follows her because she's tired of being alone at home while her parents work. At apartment 601, Se-bom meets Yo-hyung, who claims he was moving furniture and promises it won't happen again. Meanwhile, Sung-young has a plan to make more cash from the reporter and starts by getting a new wound. After bandaging his arm, he calls Se-bom to confess and she immediately takes him to the quarantine site. When Jisoo checks on him, Sung-young tells him the scratch is his new arm wound and continues to hide the real one on his neck. Afterward, the women leave so Jisoo can take a new blood sample from Se-bom. When they come back, Sung-young is gone. Se-bom calls him and he tells her that he has a family, so he can't die here in secret. He mentions there's a way to be safe and make money before hanging up. Sung-young sneaks around to follow some soldiers to the refrigerator trucks where they keep the critical patients. He slips inside and stares in horror at all the bodies. A soldier notices the open door and closes it, locking Sung-young inside. He gets a text from the reporter who promises to deposit 100 million won in exchange for a video clip, so Sung-young starts filming. At that moment, the bodies wake up. At an old warehouse, Yi-yeon and Tae-sok wait for the dealer. When Yi-yeon mentions the worldwide cases of the virus, Tae-sok admits he stole next from abroad while working for the pharmaceutical company. 3 men then arrive and ask about Jong Tae, so Yi-yeon fights them and defeats them in a matter of minutes. The dealers say the medicine is in the trunk, but when Yi-yeon opens it, a zombie jumps out. Yi-yeon tries his best to hold him down and Tae-sok gets his gun ready, but he freezes when he remembers his infected wife in the facility. Thankfully, he manages to snap out of it and shoots the zombie before closing the trunk. The creature is still alive, so Tae-sok shoots a few more times until it's dead for sure. Then he sprays one of the dealers with a hose until he confesses where he found the zombie. It turns out this guy is their medicine provider and they found him surrounded by his dead family. At the facility, Se-bom gets a call from Sung-young, who says they are not human, before the line goes dead. When Jisoo orders the soldiers to open the truck, the zombies try to reach out and Se-bom notices Sung-yu has transformed too. While Tae-sok and Jungkook arrive with more men, the soldiers can't close the doors because of the zombies' strength. Se-bom forces the soldiers to open the doors and pushes the zombies back with a taser. Then she grabs Sung-young to rescue him, but the zombies capture them and the soldiers close the doors. Yi-yeon rushes to open it again and pulls Se-bom out of the pile at the same time that she pulls Sung-young. Once they're out, Yi-yeon throws a flash grenade into the truck, causing the zombies to fall back and allowing the soldiers to shut the doors for good now. The soldiers subdue Sung-young with the tasers. Later, when the couple takes the elevator to their apartment, Yi-yeon notices blood on Jun-hyung's sleeve. That night they start hearing noises from upstairs, so Yi-yeon goes to apartment 601, where Hae-sung is already demanding an explanation. Yo-hyung claims his sick wife Minji was throwing things, but she looks nervous and scared. Getting suspicious, Yi-yeon stops him from closing the door as he notices more blood on his sleeve and asks him where Minji works. At the warehouse, the dealers have become zombies too. Tae-sok shoots them before retrieving the bag of medicine and the soldiers come for the bodies. The next morning, more zombie clips appear on the news. Yi-yeon calls Minji's clinic and learns she's off for the week. After he hangs up, Jungkook informs him that they're off the case with Tae-sok. Moments later, the clip Sung-young filmed in the truck appears on the news and a governmental emergency alert is sent to cell phones nationwide banning public meetings. On the clinic's parking lot, Yi-yeon finds Song-hee loading her car with Minji's things and asks her what's going on. At the apartment, Se-bom is hearing noises from upstairs again and goes to apartment 601 to complain. Yo-hyung opens the door and Se-bom sees the blood, so she pushes her way inside. Yo-hyung begs her not to open the bathroom door, but Se-bom does it anyway and finds a zombified Minji. Suddenly Yo-hyung pushes Se-bom inside and closes the door. She immediately hides in the shower and Minji presses her hands against the glass to stare at her. Se-bom makes a deal with Minji, promising to let her out if she doesn't attack. Minji stays still while Se-bom opens the door, then the zombie starts chasing her husband. Yo-hyung bumps into some neighbors as he runs upstairs, where Seo-yoon watches him hide in an apartment. Minji almost comes after the girl, but Se-bom appears behind her and covers her face with a pillow while Seo-yoon runs. Luckily, Yi-yeon arrives and uses his shirt to cover Minji's head and handcuffs her. When Jun-hyung comes out of hiding, Yi-yeon punches him. After the paramedics take Minji, Yi-yeon searches her apartment. He finds blood on a golf club and the next medicine in the bathroom. While the paramedics and cleaning teams come to the building, Tae-sok appears on TV to tell the country about the virus, urging everyone to contact his people if they feel any symptoms. That night, Yi-yeon meets with Tae-sok to show him the medicine from Minji's bathroom, more convinced than ever that this is causing the transformations. Then Yi-yeon is allowed to visit Minji, who's been tied to the bed. Jisoo explains Minji was about to die when she got infected and the virus is the only thing keeping her alive. When she returns to normal, she'll die for real. The next day Jisoo calls Yi-yeon to inform him that Minji passed away. Then he and Jungkook bring the news to Yo Hyung, who has already cleaned everything. They explain that Minji died because her head was bashed with a golf club and Yo Hyung swears it was self-defense, but Yi Yun has another theory. Minji was supposed to die after being struck but instead she got the virus and survived, so all the noises have been Yo Hyung trying to keep her secret. The cops also mention Yo Hyung's criminal record and revoked medical license, and Yin Yun theorizes Minji took over his clinic. When Yo Hyung points out they don't have proof, Song-hee appears as a witness and he gets arrested. At the facility, Tae-sok visits Sae-bom to inform him that the dealer confessed to selling Next as a diet and concentration aid to gym members at the complex. Since more zombies will likely appear soon, soldiers surround the building with walls and keep everyone inside for quarantine. Sae-bom is the only one allowed to leave because she's immune, but she chooses to stay. At that moment Yi Yun walks out of the elevator with a handcuffed Yo Hyung. Sae-bom hugs him because she thought he'd been left out and Yo Hyung runs out the door. He calls Haesung because he's a lawyer, but Yi Yun takes the phone from him and mentions the murder before ending the call. While Yi Yun takes Yo Hyung back inside, Sae-bom checks out the new wall surrounding the building. On the news they learn that the virus has been found in 3 nursing homes and 2 homeless shelters. Since Seo Yun's parents are stuck outside, the mother calls Sae-bom and asks her to take care of the girl. She also mentions that Seo Yun has a heart condition and shouldn't exercise intensely or bleed. When Yi Yun drops Yo Hyung at his apartment, he handcuffs him to the night table and leaves him a bottle for peeing. After Yi Yun leaves, Yo Hyung asks Song-hee for help and reminds her that they had an affair. She agrees only when he offers her money. In the afternoon the residents gather to watch a video call from Jisoo, who announces there will be a week-long quarantine for the complex. They'll compensate for damages and ensure their meals and other necessities are provided for. She hangs up before they can ask any questions. Everyone freaks out so Young Ok from the upper floors calms them down and reminds them that Yi Yun and Jungkook are cops, so they're protected. Afterward Sae-bom and Yi Yun meet with the gym trainer, who is drinking a worrying amount of water. He swears he didn't take the medicine and knows nothing about it, but he seems nervous. The duo announces the trainer will stay in the office for the night and Sae-bom takes away all the water. When the cleaning crew asks what they should do, the couple agrees to find them an empty apartment for them to stay. One of the cleaning people is Andrew, who is always wearing a mask and goggles. When Yi Yun checks everyone's IDs, he notices that Andrew's face is scratched off. When Yi Yun goes to uncuff Yo Hyung to interrogate him, Song-hee announces she's staying with him and that she lied about her witness statement, so Yi Yun has no choice but to leave. At the facility, Jisoo and Tae-sok visit Chairman Choi, the pharmaceutical CEO that Tae-sok assaulted in the past. Choi scolds them for losing control of the situation and Tae-sok reminds him he was the one who released Next. It turns out Choi needed a large-scale infection to push treatment development and save his own life. In return Choi reminds him that his pregnant wife's life is at stake too, revealing that he bit her. Then Choi takes a bite from the guard's neck and transforms, but he can't attack Tae-sok because he's chained to the bed. The next day, the news announces more lockdowns, bringing the total quarantine locations to 8. Various countries have begun closing their borders too. Sae-bom and the other neighbors go downstairs to get their food, only to discover the front doors locked. The other building residents decided to lock them in for the week so they wouldn't have contact with the infected people. Sae-bom grabs Jungkook's gun and threatens to shoot until the crowd outside opens the door. When Yi Yun and Sae-bom try to check on the gym trainer, he's gone. They start searching the building and Sae-bom sees someone running, so they follow them to the basement where they find a bloodstain on the elevator button. They hear zombie noises coming from the elevator, so they start running before the doors open. As they cross the garage they see the trainer in a car and tell him to follow them. Once they've reached their building Yi Yun pushes the trainer against the wall to check his body, but there's no blood. Suddenly a man covered in blood appears at the glass door begging for help, but he's tackled by a zombie. On the roof, Andrew watches people running around the complex as zombies attack the residents and chaos spreads. Yi Yun and Sae-bom rush to lock and barricade the lobby doors before zombies from other buildings try to get in. The complex loses phone and TV service, and a message on screen tells everyone to wait for rescue. Everyone gathers in the basement where Yi Yun has to keep them away from the door. Since they won't calm down, Sae-bom opens the door and dares them to join the zombies, which scares them into leaving. Then the group proceeds to cover every glass window and door so the zombies won't see them. The neighbors gather at the gym and a huge argument ensues over the situation. Some people don't believe that the others saw zombies outside and Yo Hyung offers money to anyone who dares go to check. The cleaning crew is so desperate that they take the offer, but at least Jungkook convinces them to wait until daylight. Then Yi Yun checks the security cameras and discovers that the gym trainer did drink water last night. He and Sae-bom interrogate him again but he still denies taking Next, so they lock him in the gym again. That night Jinsu and Tae-sok give a briefing about the virus. They're studying an antibody that can directly affect the brain, but they need a month for research. After the meeting, Jinsu confronts Tae-sok about the lie, revealing they're nowhere close to a cure. Tae-sok explains that if the government thinks there's no hope, they'll kill all the infected. The next morning the cleaning crew gets ready to go out so Yi Yun and Sae-bom announce they'll go with them to protect them. As the group begins exploring, Dong-hyun joins them to record everything for his influencer platforms. They encounter a few residents at the wall, but they all deny being infected. A cleaning man checks on the door and accidentally ends up covered in blood. Inside, Young-ok sees a man at the basement door asking for help and promising information, so she starts unlocking the door. However, she freezes when she notices a bandage and blood under his nails. She starts spilling water as a test and he quickly transforms into a zombie. Back to the exploring group, they enter the grocery store to get food and find the cashier Boram hiding. The cleaning crew finds a blood trail and rushes to warn the others, but Dong-hyun follows it to record it. He eventually finds 2 zombies and freezes in fear, but luckily Andrew pulls him behind some boxes to hide. The cleaning crew tells the couple about the zombies, so Yi-yeon tells them to leave. However, the alcohol in the shopping carts activates the alarm at the door, which makes the zombies go crazy. Andrew and Dong-hyun start running and make it outside right before the others close the gate. The noise attracts even more zombies to the area. The group rushes back to the main building, but Young-ok hesitates to open the door because she sees the blood on the cleaning man. Yo-hyung begins playing a recording of Minji's zombie noises and tells Song-hee that the police couple can't arrest him if they're dead. At that moment, Jungkook arrives with Seo-yoon and he takes the phone from Yo-hyung while the girl finally opens the door. Everyone hurries to get in and the cleaning man attacks Young-ok, so the others have to pull him back. Yi-yeon breaks the phone to make the noises stop and runs after Jungkook to cover his face with blood from outside as he insults him. Yo-hyung screams until Sae-bom pulls Yi-yeon away. Meanwhile, Dong-hyun realizes he lost his phone in the chaos. A flashback shows a meeting between Tae-sok and Choi 6 months ago. They were excited about getting government approval for Next as an ADHD medication. Choi and some of his associates were already taking it for concentration boosts. Tae-sok excused himself when he got a phone call and learned about Next's side effects. He told his team to keep the patient quiet with money. When he returned to the dining room, he found Choi biting his wife on the floor. In the present, the refrigerator trucks are being taken to the landfill. Jisoo reports that all the patients injected with the treatment died. At the apartment complex, Yo-hyung goes to see the gym trainer and asks him to give him the same medicine his wife took, but the trainer swears he didn't sell it. A furious Yo-hyung begins throwing balls at him while Yi-yeon watches from the door. The trainer suddenly turns into a zombie and attacks Yo-hyung, so Yi-yeon enters the gym. He says the world would be better without Yo-hyung but saves him anyway. Meanwhile, an infected resident from the other building contacts Haesung on the intercom and convinces him to meet him in the basement for a consultation. Haesung leaves by telling his wife So-yoon that he's just going for a walk. However, So-yoon gets suspicious and checks the intercom logs to learn the truth, so she rushes to warn Sae-bom. Haesung reaches the basement and gets ready to open the door, only for Sae-bom to pull him away. Then she has to keep the door closed while the other resident keeps trying to open it, and thankfully she manages to lock it again. At the gym, Yo-hyung tries to attack Yi-yeon with a weight, but Yi-yeon easily knocks him down. Then Yo-hyung hears footsteps and runs out to ask for help, but it's Sae-bom, who kicks him to shut him up. Haesung and So-yoon come to see what the noise is about and learn that the trainer is infected. While the couple goes to see Young-ok because she hired the guy, Yi-yeon waits for the trainer to go back to normal to talk to him. The man admits he took the medicine twice and that there's more in his car. While Haesung goes around the apartments gathering votes to kick the trainer out, Yo-hyung takes the medicine from the trainer's car. The next day, everyone heads to the gym for the vote. When Haesung plays a video of the zombified trainer, Sae-bom cuts in to ask if anyone got COVID back in 2020. She reminds everyone that viruses don't discriminate and asks where it'll end if they start throwing people out, pointing out it'll happen to their families. Nobody votes to kick the trainer out, so Haesung proposes to isolate him on the roof instead. That does get him some votes, and it appears to be a tie until the recluse Sehun arrives to vote to keep the trainer where he is. Tae-sok visits Choi, who only has a month left to live. They discuss how many regions have closed the roads, and Choi announces he'll no longer support quarantine areas. He wants Tae-sok to cut off electricity and not send them any more food. In the meantime, Sae-bom chats with Sehun, who invites her to his apartment to check out his survival equipment. At the same time, Yi-yeon has another talk with the trainer, who tells him his last buyer was Sehun. Yi-yeon goes to Sehun's apartment and pushes his way inside only to find Sae-bom happily snacking. Boram tells Dong-hyun she saw his phone in front of the building and he offers her money to retrieve it. He moves the barricade and Boram goes out to get the device, only to be found by the desperate resident. Seconds later, a zombie comes in and chases people through the building until he bites Soo-min. At the apartment, Seo-yoon hears the bell and opens the door just a crack with the chain still on. The desperate resident tries to get in, so the girl immediately closes the door again. At that moment, the couple returns and notices the blood on his body, so Yi-yeon chases after him. The guy manages to leave the building and Yi-yeon locks the front door. In the gym, Hyun-kyung is terrified after seeing her brother get bitten and the trainer swears he can help, so she gives him the handcuff keys. The trainer frees himself and rushes to drink lots of water before he starts chasing her, so Hyun-kyung runs away. Minutes later, Sae-bom and Yi-yeon find the trainer drinking water in the gym. When they try to handcuff him, he transforms again and a fight ensues. The couple works together to defend themselves, but suddenly the zombie is brought down by a shot. It's Tae-sok, who shoots the zombie again to make sure he's dead. Se-bom asks Tae-sok why her scratch hasn't healed. He admits the virus is still in her bloodstream, that's why he wanted to do blood tests regularly. Yi-yeon goes looking for Jungkook, who tells him that he survived the zombie attack because Young Ok's husband Woo Chang held up a golden cross that scared the monsters away. Moments later, Tae-sok gathers the residents to announce the entire city is entering lockdown and their electricity will be cut off. Suddenly an alarm starts echoing outside and a voice announces the entire city is now under martial law. Tae-sok assures everyone martial law will be lifted in 4 days. Later on the roof, Tae-sok confesses they found an antibody in Se-bom's blood. They need to see if it's effective, even if that means letting her get bitten, so he shoots the door to let a zombie out. Se-bom struggles to defend herself and Tae-seok feels guilty, so he ends up shooting the creature. In the gym, Yi-yeon and Jungkook discover that the trainer's body is gone. Security footage shows soldiers cutting out his brain before taking the body, which makes Yi-yeon realize Tae-sok came here for Se-bom. Yi-yeon runs upstairs while Jungkook guards the elevator, thinking a zombie is coming. However, the doors open and reveal Tae-sok carrying an unconscious Se-bom. Since Tae-sok is armed, Jungkook lets him go and runs to warn Yi-yeon. In the garage, Tae-sok drives away with Se-bom in the back seat. Yi-yeon runs after them, and when the car reaches the street, he jumps on the hood and takes out his gun. Se-bom wakes up and takes Tae-sok's gun before getting out. Yi-yeon is shocked because he gave her a high dose of tranquilizer. Yi-yeon punches Tae-sok and Se-bom agrees to let Jisoo take her blood. In private, Yi-yeon tells Tae-sok that nobody must know Se-bom is immune or the elite will take her away. Meanwhile, Yo-hyung extracts the contents of the next capsules and inserts them into unopened water bottles with a syringe. That night, Hyun-kyung gets an intercom call from Soo-min in the garage. He's covered in blood and admits he's scared, but he won't come inside because he might hurt her. Their conversation is interrupted by the power going out in the whole city. Minutes later, someone with a flashlight opens the door for Soo-min. The next day, a cleaning lady shows Se-bom and Yi-yeon a bloodstained towel she found in the trash on the stairs. They check the garage and find an open lunchbox, but there aren't any other clues to follow. At the facility, Seung-young is feeling better thanks to Jisoo's latest treatment. Back to Hyun-kyung, she's sneaking into another apartment and the couple catches her red-handed. She admits she's been hiding her brother. The duo checks on him and Soo-min reveals that the flashlight person with the food had been Yo-hyung. Yi-yeon and Se-bom agree to let him stay as long as both siblings swear not to leave the apartment. On the 4th day, everyone gathers at the gym to wait for news and finds a cooler with drinks waiting. They start drinking, but Yi-yeon is wary and doesn't open his, stopping Se-bom from doing the same. At that moment, the city alarm announces that martial law is being extended indefinitely. The next time Jungkook visits Woo Chang for a prayer session, Young Ok convinces him to look for hidden infected people in the building. Afterward, Young Ok is called by Yo-hyung, who takes her to the room with Soo-min. Se-bom and Yi-yeon almost kiss on the roof, but they're interrupted by Yo-hyung and Young Ok asking about Soo-min. The couple has no choice but to quarantine Soo-min in the golf course. Afterward, Se-bom and Yi-yeon confront Yo-hyung, who shares a drink. Yi-yeon insists Yo-hyung do the same and switches their bottles, then everyone drinks. Yo-hyung pretends he needs the bathroom and pukes in the toilet, which is heard by the couple. When he comes out, he has no choice but to admit what he did and gives Yi-yeon the last capsule. Yi-yeon swallows it and reveals it's just digestive medication. He guessed someone would take the trainer's stash, so he changed them in the car. A furious Yo-hyung tries to attack them, but the couple easily subdues him and takes him away to isolate him for murder. However, when they reach the upper floor, Jungkook is waiting with the gun out and the rich neighbors. In the facility, Choi and his politician friends take the treatment shot. Since they can't make many shots for now, Choi says they'll keep martial law for longer to decrease the number of infected people so the demand won't be as great. Tae-sok thinks it would be better to get rid of Choi and his friends, and a guard tries to arrest him, but Tae-sok viciously beats him up. It turns out he didn't give them the treatment and now the old men are transforming so he can gather more data. They immediately start eating the guard. At the apartment building, Young Ok uses Jungkook to take the couple to the apartment, saying they should be quarantined because they were in contact with most zombies. Afterward, the neighbors gather to discuss if they should kick the couple out, so Andrew goes to warn them. Se-bom rushes to the meeting without realizing she's still carrying her breakfast knife. Yo-hyung tries to take Jungkook's gun, so Se-bom kicks him off. Jungkook aims the gun at her, but she easily takes it and points it at Yo-hyung. Se-bom fires the gun and Yo-hyung wets his pants while she explains it was a blank round. Afterward, Se-bom proposes to test who is infected by triggering their thirst. She gets the knife ready, but Yi-yeon rushes in to take it and gets wounded first. Then he puts his bleeding hand in front of everyone's faces until Boram transforms. The couple fights together to subdue her, and Boram is quarantined in the gym. When Boram calms down, she explains that she was scratched when the zombies attacked the store. However, the towel wasn't hers. While Young Ok washes up, Woo Chang cleans Boram's blood from the floor and is tempted to lick it, but he stops when his wife almost sees him. The next day Yi-yun gathers the neighbors to finish the test and Andrew volunteers to be the trigger. He collects his blood in a cup and Yi-yun passes around. Nobody transforms, but there are some people missing. At the facility Jisoo reports to Tae-sok that severe patients are showing a mutation. They're able to suppress their thirst to hide their symptoms. He goes to see Choi who is barely stable due to sedatives, so transforming again will kill him. Tae-sok explains he held a funeral for Choi and now his family thinks he's dead. When Yi-yun and Jungkook bring food for Soo-min, he tells them that Wo-chang has been playing golf in secret but Soo-min never got thirsty around him. The cops remember the incident with the cross and conclude that zombies don't attack infected people. At the apartment, Young Ok comes back with the blood cup after testing the remaining neighbors. Wo-chang can't resist anymore and drinks it, so a screaming Young Ok rushes to hide in the bedroom while he admits he took the medicine. When she opens the door, he's gone. A zombified Wo-chang is moving through the corridors and finds Yo-hyung, who runs back to his apartment where Haesung and Song-hee are having an affair. When Wo-chang is about to attack, Se-bom rushes in to stop him, but Wo-chang is a stronger zombie and puts up a good fight. Yi-yun enters the room and removes his bandage to expose his wound, so Wo-chang attacks him. The duo fights together and manages to tie him up. Afterward the couple goes to warn the others, unaware that Joo-hun is still inside. He opens the window and stands there until Wo-chang attacks him, moving at the last second so the zombie falls off the balcony. The others come in when they hear the noise and Young Ok cries for her husband. The next day Se-bom and Yi-yun visit Se-hoon to ask for water because the neighbors are running out. He reveals that in building 103, there's an emergency generator they can use to get power and water back. At the facility, Jisoo informs Tae-sok that Se-bom's blood test confirms she has the antibodies. He uses a radio to call Yi-yun, who is looking in the mirror to check on a scratch given by Wo-chang. Tae-sok lies that Se-bom's blood doesn't have the antibodies and instead encourages him to send Seo-yun out, claiming that they're getting minors out of lockdown. Yi-yun says he'll talk to Se-bom and hangs up. Then Se-bom drags Yi-yun's to Se-hoon's apartment, where she's found a note. Se-hoon wrote that he committed a major wrong and couldn't endure anymore, so he left and everyone else can use his supplies. The couple is suspicious and searches the apartment until they find a bottle of Next. Since Se-hoon is a recluse who never leaves his home, they think this is a trap. After checking the front door and finding it open, the couple goes back and discovers the neighbors trying to get Se-hoon's things. The duo stops them and only lets them take enough to survive a few more days in case Se-hoon comes back. In the evening Yi-yun tells Se-bom that she doesn't have the antibodies and shares Tae-sok's proposal. He wants her to leave with Seo-yun but Se-bom refuses to leave him behind. They talk about Se-hoon and wonder if he's hiding in the empty apartment. They go to investigate only to find Haesung and Song-hee getting dirty. They search the other rooms and find a body covered with a blanket. When they remove it, they're horrified to find the body of the cleaning lady with a bite on her neck. There's lime powder on her hair, which they saw earlier in Se-hoon's apartment. Since Yo-hyung is the only doctor, the couple drags him to look at the body. He concludes the lady has been dead for 2 days and the powder was used to cover the smell. The neighbors gather to discuss the incident and Young Ok thinks Se-hoon did it. However, Yi-yun still thinks someone may be incriminating him with the note. At the facility Tae-sok's wife transforms and they can't get her lucid again. He grabs the treatment vial, ignoring Jisoo when she points out that using it will reveal to the higher-ups that Se-bom is the cure. Some guards try to stop him, but Tae-sok beats one up and holds the others at gunpoint to escape. Then he injects his wife, who finally calms down. At the apartment building, Yi-yun and Se-bom let the neighbors take some food from Se-hoon's place, then they let Andrew in charge of the place. When the couple returns to the apartment they find Seo-yun coughing because of her heart condition, so Se-bom agrees to send her out. Later there's a neighbor meeting and they agree they need to find the hidden infected that killed the cleaning lady. The cleaning man attacks Yo-hyung to get blood and while everyone fights to stop him, Yi-yun hears a ringing in his ears and closes his eyes in pain. He puts himself together and announces that he and Se-bom will go out to find food, which is a cover for them to sneak Seo-yun out. Yo-hyung tells them they should look for the emergency generator instead and they agree, although they're suspicious of him knowing about it. Afterward Yi-yun calls Tae-sok to tell him he'll send Se-bom and Seo-yun. The next day the couple tries to check on Andrew, but he isn't in the apartment. While Yi-yun goes looking for him, Se-bom gets a call from Jisoo, who did a background check on all the residents. It turns out the real Andrew was found dead in his home. At the same time Yi-yun finds Se-hoon's body in the same condition as the cleaning ladies. Haesung goes to see Jungkook, claiming he saw zombie Se-hoon. When Jungkook opens the door, Andrew forces his way to attack him. Se-bom and Yi-yun hear a shot and run back to their apartment, where they find all the residents waiting to take the couple's supplies. When they enter their home they find Jungkook bleeding on the floor. Andrew takes off his mask and holds Seo-yun hostage to escape. The neighbors hadn't known that Andrew was the killer when they started this and leave without taking anything. After helping Jungkook with his wounds, Yi-yun calls Tae-sok to tell him about the girl. He also guesses that Se-bom does have the antibodies and discusses a possible deal. Later Andrew leaves Seo-yun in Haesung's care and confronts Yi-yun, who finally remembers his face from wanted posters. His real name is Jong-wook and he's killed hundreds of people. Jong-wook admits to his murders, but he isn't infected. He shares the same story that Yo-hyung is telling the other neighbors. The doctor saw him get rid of the cleaning lady and Jong-wook almost killed him for it, but Yo-hyung told him about the empty apartment, to bite their necks to make it look like a zombie did it, to use the powder, and fake the note. Then Yo-hyung went to Young-ok and they agreed to let Jong-wook do whatever he wanted so long as he helped them with problem residents. Jong-wook takes the couple to the gym at gunpoint and gives the radio to Young-ok. Then he forces the couple to go to the generator like they promised and Dong-hyun volunteers to go with them. When they reach the garage, Dong-hyun goes to his car to try to escape. The couple finds the electrical room and turns on the generator, which brings back power but also makes lots of noise. Soon zombies appear in the garage so the couple runs to hide behind a different entrance, since Yi-yeon thinks Jong-wook will kill them if they return to theirs. Meanwhile more zombies surround Dong-hyun's car which won't start. The couple takes the elevator and Yi-yeon tells Se-bom that she does have the antibodies. Tae-sok was using Seo-yoon as an excuse to get Se-bom out. When the elevator stops the zombies try to get in, so Yi-yeon blocks the door. Se-bom grabs him by the shirt to bring him in but it rips and reveals his wound. She pulls him in anyway and the doors close so the elevator keeps moving while she hugs him. Eventually they reach the roof and Boram lets them in. Song-hee sneaks behind Yo-hyung and hits him with a golf club. So-yoon is taking care of Seo-yoon and is tired of Hae-sung not helping, so when he leaves the apartment she locks him out. At that moment Se-bom arrives and takes the girl out. At the same time Yi-yeon confronts Young-ok, who tries to attack him. He easily blocks her and locks her up in a bathroom. After rescuing Jungkook he reunites with Se-bom, who tells So-yoon to come with them. So-yoon drops her wedding ring and joins them. Jong-wook notices the elevator moving and the cleaning team uses this distraction to attack him. They stumble into the elevator and Jong-wook stabs the man in the neck before pressing the button. On the roof, the group tells Boram she can come too. At that moment they're found by Jong-wook who gets ready to shoot. Yi-yeon tosses a smoke grenade but Jong-wook still manages to shoot him in the arm as he hides with the others behind the stairs door. Deciding he can't go like this, Yi-yeon says goodbye to Se-bom and returns to the roof, where he handcuffs the lock. Jong-wook shoots him again but Yi-yeon still moves away to throw the handcuff keys away. When he turns around, he reveals he's transformed and quickly bites Jong-wook. In the apartment, Yo-hyung wakes up and takes a next capsule that he stole from Yi-yeon's apartment, only for Song-hee to hit him with a club again. Then she asks Hae-sung to read Yo-hyung's tattoo because it's the password to get the doctor's money. Young-ok hits the bathroom door until she makes a hole that allows her to unlock the door. Then she takes the elevator and the cleaning couple tells her everything. In the garage, the group gets in a car and drives away while zombies fail to chase them. The soldiers surround the car outside and Se-bom says she'll go back for Yi-yeon, however Tae-sok injects her with a sedative. She wakes in a car and sees all the people going through their everyday lives on the street, which means Tae-sok lied to her neighbors about martial law to keep them inside. Later at the facility, Se-bom agrees to give plasma to Tae-sok's wife in exchange for going back for Yi-yeon. When she returns to her room, she checks her phone and finds a video from Yi-yeon admitting he married her because he loves her, but he didn't know how to tell her. The next day Se-bom donates lots of blood and Tae-sok gives her that last treatment vial. A commander will come to pick her up to take her to another lab, so he gives Se-bom a military uniform that allows her to sneak out. After she leaves, Tae-sok injects his wife and turns himself into the guards. On her way out, Se-bom slips into Seo-yoon's mother's room and injects her with the last cure. Jisoo finds her and agrees to help her escape because the soldiers are looking for her. After Jisoo puts on the patient's clothes, Se-bom hits her to make it look like she attacked her. Now Se-bom can finally leave in the car that Tae-sok left for her with a radio and a passport. When the commander interrogates Tae-sok, he tells them Se-bom went back because there's another antibody carrier in the building. He wants permission to take over the operation and bring in a new cure. At the apartment complex, Hyun-kyung and Soo-min open the door for Se-bom and share what has been happening. A flashback shows Yi-yeon going back to normal when Young-ok found him. While he took the stairs, Young-ok ran to take the gun from Jong-wook's body. However, he woke up and grabbed her arm. At the same time Yo-hyung also woke up and took more medicine. Pretending to be infected, he bit Hae-sung, causing him and Song-hee to run away. Yi-yeon went to his apartment and the siblings checked on him. He told them what happened and said they had to retrieve Jong-wook's body, but when they reached the roof he was gone. The cleaning lady took her husband to Yo-hyung's place and gave him the medicine, hoping to heal the stab wound. The group continued the search and bumped into Young-ok, who told them she smashed Jong-kook's head but she didn't move the body. Then Yi-yeon checked the garage and found Dong-hyun in his car crying because he was bitten. He brought him inside and sent him back to his parents. Moments later the cleaning man was feeling better and his wife removed the knife. They agreed they wanted the apartment so she lured Yo-hyung into the room, but when the man was about to attack him Yo-hyung managed to run away with only a scratch. He bumped into Yi-yeon, who immediately quarantined him in the gym. In the present, the siblings finish telling the story and Se-bom runs to her apartment. In the gym Song-hee tries to take Yo-hyung's laptop but he grabs her arm to catch her. At that moment Young Ok enters the gym with a weight, saying she can break the handcuffs if Yo Hyung helps her kill Yi Yun. Minutes later Yi Yun hears Song Hee screaming for help. He finds her in the corridor as Yo Hyung's hostage and the doctor cuts her arm before throwing her at him. Yi Yun fights the thirst and pushes Song Hee away before running back to his apartment, where he starts transforming while Yo Hyung pounds on the door. Suddenly Se Bom arrives and beats Yo Hyung up before entering the apartment. She approaches Yi Yun without fear and comforts him with tenderness, helping him fight the transformation. Soon he goes back to normal and they kiss. Meanwhile Song Hee takes the computer to Haesung, who finally guesses the password. However, when they try to access Yo Hyung's crypto account, they discover he lost all his money because the virus made the market crash. Soon the soldiers finally arrive to take everyone away. Tae-sok checks on Soo-min's injuries, confirming he's immune. Yi Yun encounters Jong-wook and tries to fight him, only to get shot. Yi Yun hears the noise and runs to find Jong-wook holding Yi Yun hostage. With her gun she creates an injury and the smell of blood makes Jong-kook transform. He runs to attack her and leaves Yi Yun free to shoot him in the head, finally killing him. Afterward Se Bom cradles Yi Yun in her arms, crying when he passes out. Weeks later Young Ok and Yo Hyung stand trial for their crimes. Seung Young is slowly recovering, and Seo Yoon visits Se Bom and Yi Yun, who has been healed too. After the girl leaves, the couple admits they're finally happy together. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.